this is the table of contents. So we're gonna be talking a little bit about me for a quick second, just so you guys know a little bit about who's talking, and then my work, and then some conservation laws and some fun facts. Different camera settings, editing, and what to look for, like the angles and stuff, and then there's like a little quiz and some useful resources. All right, so first about me, just a little bit, I promise, not a whole lot. Like she said, I'm from Bowling Green State University. I'm taking an extra semester because I messed up my credits. So I'm a senior with an extra semester, if you will. And my major is community arts and studio arts and photography. And I put my email up there and my website, but I have a sheet with it on it later. When we're done, I'll pass it out. And then I am a preschool teacher currently. I've been for 3 years. It's awesome. I love my kids, but I want to be an art teacher. And so I'm trying to get my diploma and get out of BG. I love BG, but we're trying to move on. It's been a while. I'm originally from Waterville, Ohio, and of course I go to BGSU. So I made the commute all 4 years because I lived at home. And then I just recently moved in with my boyfriend, and we live in Columbus Grove now, which is about an hour and 6 minutes away. Just to give you an idea. And I just wanted to include this, just so you know, I've been interested in photography like my whole entire life. That's me when I was little, and that's me now. So, I mean, it's been a journey. So I actually have my camera up here, and you guys can take a look at it later on, like after. It's really expensive, just be careful with it. But yeah, you guys can pick it up and look at it if you want. I can show you some things if you have questions at the end. But I use a EOS Mark II digital mirrorless camera. It's about $1,000. So it's not like the most expensive. The one I want is $4,000. So I'm at the lower end of the camera business. But like I said, you know, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Just take some money. So to my work. So at BG, they formulate classes a little weird, in my opinion, for photo. So they start in black and white photography. So when you go in, you do not choose digital unless you go to like a different school, like the school, the Wolf Center school. But at the Fine Art Building, you have to start in black and white photography and then do color and then do large format, advanced, and then senior. I've taken color film twice. I've taken advanced twice, and I've taken senior twice. But I've taken all of these. So I've taken every photo class available at Bowling Green State University. And I didn't like how when you come in, you have to take black and white. Kind of disappointed because I knew I wanted to do digital. I'm so grateful that they did that because I love film. I had never experienced film. I didn't know a lot about it. I love the process. So I ended up doing color film for about 2 years, and I switched over to digital. So definitely a great experience. I would highly suggest it. If you know Ross at Bowling Green State University is amazing. I love him so much. Taught me so much. But that's just a little bit about how BGSU formats the classes. So I did my BFA last semester. And so this is just my work. I won the best in show for photography. And I just do my work on cows and the lifestyle between market and dairy cows. And the things that kind of people overlook or don't want to look at, and the conditions of the cows. So that's a kind of my investigation. I didn't really grow up on a farm, but my family's kind of more country being from BG. So yeah, so I took my investigation that direction, and I'm still investigating this. This is an ongoing thing. I love cows. I'm such a cow girly, so I love my work, but still in progress. And then coming soon, I do have a show at Sunshine Studios. It's December 1st from 5 to 8, and I'll be selling some of the prints that you're gonna see here coming up of Italy and Switzerland. So none of the cows, but the ones that I'm gonna show you from Italy and Switzerland, I will be selling those. So, and that's in Maumee, Ohio. All right, now to get to what we came here for. So I went to Italy and Switzerland, and I had a layover in Germany. I count that. So technically I've been in Germany. And I went this summer, so 2023. And I'll try to talk about like where this was. Some of them I don't remember just because it was so quick and I was there for 2 weeks. So I'll try to remember, or I'll tell a story about kind of where it was. But I cannot remember where this was. But we did have dinner on this street, in the middle of the street. It's kind of like just a little like nook area, but like right in the street there. So that was fun. The time of day, it stays day until like 9 o'clock. So the ability for me to take pictures was all day. It was so nice. So I wasn't like, oh, I have to get this picture now, I have to visit this place now, because I had plenty of time. And then the next one, this was in Florence, and forgive me because I don't know the names of all the churches. I've taken many art history classes, I've taken 5, but I don't know everything, so forgive me on the names. But this is one of the churches in Florence. There was a lot of shopping, and I feel like the architecture makes you feel very small, and I know that's their job to make you feel super small. But this church was massive, which was so cool. Yeah. So this one was actually in Switzerland, and when I take my photos, I like to do multiple photos in one area. That way, like if something's blurry, if you can't see something, if like I try to get different angles of the thing, just in case I go home and I'm like, oh, I wish I had this. I wish I did this. So I try to do a variety of different things. With this image, I did not do that. I captured this image while we were walking and I didn't look back. And so I'm super grateful that it's not blurry, that everything's pretty much in focus, and it's one of my favorite images. So it's special to me because there's only one of it on my SD card. So yeah, that was in Switzerland, which we were only in Switzerland for about a day. So not much time in Switzerland. But honestly, I think it was prettier than Italy. I'm just saying. And then this one, I can't remember where I took this one either. But again, a lot of the times we were walking and I was snapping the pictures as we were walking. And some of them are appearing a little bit darker on the screen than in real life. But yeah, so you have that one. This one was in Lake Como. And we were actually on a ferry boat and we went around the lake, which was really pretty. There were so many beautiful houses on the coast. And everybody was like, oh, we're gonna see celebrities up there. We're gonna see everybody. No celebrities, nothing like that. But yeah, just a beautiful coast, beautiful colors. And I noticed as we went up into Switzerland, the colors got brighter. It just kept getting brighter. So I like that. I'm a color person. Like I said, I did color film for 2 years. And then we have the Coliseum, which I feel like everybody has this picture or has seen it or a version of it. But it's special to me because it's my picture of the Coliseum. And I zoomed in. I do have one further back. I'm not going to show you that one because there's so many people in Italy. There's so many people that it's a lot of editing, or you're trying to like wait until somebody moves, but there's just so many people that it makes it hard as a fine artist to get those pictures that you really want. As a tourist, you can sit there and get pictures all day because you don't mind people in them. But I minded the people just a little bit. I wish it wasn't as populated as it was, but it's the Coliseum, so I understand. And then we have this. My professor hates this picture. But I personally love it. Everybody thinks I edited the sky, and I actually did not. It's really that blue, and I think that's why I like it. But I can't really remember where this was either. But I have a thing for brick, and I like seeing aging on buildings because this just proves that how long these buildings have been there. It's crazy. And so you have like the newer brick, but of course like the older brick as well. So it kind of pulls that together in that way. And then we have this church, which actually was in the same area as the picture that we just saw. And this, I can't remember, but there was like a saint or a pope that was in this church. And forgive me because I can't remember who it was. But this was a beautiful church. It was, again, huge, like most of the churches in Italy. And we walked in and they give you this little whisper thing. So that way you can hear what they're saying. So it's like a little box and you plug your headphone in, not 2 headphones, you only get 1. And they are able to speak to you through that little box, so that way they're not screaming at you, over other people, because there are so many people there. So this is the Green Grotto off of Capri.
Oh.
We really wanted to go to the Blue Grotto because it's a once in a lifetime thing. You all want to see the Blue Grotto. But the tide was actually too high and we could barely see the Blue Grotto. So unfortunately we didn't get to see the Blue Grotto, but we did get in the green, which is just as pretty, I think. And we actually just went in a little cave. It doesn't look like it, but the boat went in this tiny cave and then back out, which was very concerning and scary, but we made it, we're here. And so, yeah, that's the Green Grotto. And this is just outside the Green Grotto. This is, I can't exactly remember what you do, but the boat went through this little area right here. Yeah, and we were all like, are we gonna make it? But we made it, and you're actually supposed to kiss your true love when you're going under it. And then it's supposed to be significant and keep you guys together forever. I was just standing there watching everybody kiss, but because it was so awesome view, awesome pictures, so I was okay with it. So this is on the island of Capri, and you can actually rent all of these boats, even ones up here as well. And we came off the ferry, and we were able to get on a little bit bigger of a boat than this. But I was concerned because you have to take the ferry over to Capri, and then you have the option to get on this boat and go around the whole island and then get back on another boat and leave. It's a lot of boat, but they recommended that it was a good experience to have. So I definitely did that. And of course I got the Green Grotto pictures and it was amazing. So definitely recommend that. It was beautiful, all the colors. And people ask me, like, what's Capri like? Would it, like, give me an example. And I always tell them it's like Put-in Bay, but for Italy. So it's that populated, it's that crazy, it's that much more expensive because they know people will buy the stuff. And I actually went with a Catholic church group. And our church that we went to hear mass was like way up here. And we had to like travel up a bunch of stairs. But definitely worth it. We saw amazing churches where we had mass. And I was able to get some pictures inside these churches, which was amazing. Yes. It's beautiful. And then I have this picture. Some people think that I also edited this picture as well, which is the problem with having such beautiful pictures of a beautiful place. They're like, you changed the colors. I'm like, no, I didn't. But these are just some windows, and I have a thing for windows and doors, so you might see some of those, and shutters actually. And I liked the split in this, so it gave you both colors. I immediately saw that, I looked up and I was like, I gotta get this. And I think this was in Florence. And then again, people think I edited this one, I'll keep saying that, but this one was actually in Switzerland. And it was so beautiful, let me tell you. I just kept going like this. Like, I'm like, am I seeing this? Is this real life? Because everything was fluorescent, everything was beautiful. It was just a great experience. We weren't in Switzerland long. We kind of just took the bus up there for the day, walked around. There was accordion buses. Like, there was a bus with an accordion in the middle, so that way you could turn. I've never seen that, so I don't know if you guys seen that, but that was interesting to kind of see the difference in Italy versus Switzerland. Switzerland, definitely less people. You got to like walk in the park and enjoy your time. Italy, there's just so much to see and everybody's traveling there that it's almost hard to enjoy what you're seeing, and you can't stay and look at something long because there's a whole group of people coming. So unfortunately, but Switzerland is beautiful. I loved it. So this was in Milan, and this was a church. We actually did go in this. I didn't put any pictures from inside of it, but this whole area is a walking space. So this went around, oh, there we go. This was a walking space all the way around the church. I liked Milan, but it was a lot of expensive, like Gucci and Louis Vuitton, and so I didn't even go in those stores. I went to Starbucks, and and they had coffee imported from Puerto Rico. And so I bought that for my grandpa because I know he loves coffee. But Milan was beautiful, but also it was kind of more fashion based and like today's time. So I kind of liked more of the like art history and the history part of Italy and less of like the shopping and the fashion. but I know people in our group, definitely veered off towards the fashion and the shopping too, so we had a little bit of both in our group.
Is that one church? Like you said? Yeah, this is just one building.
Yeah, that's just one building. And I'm looking at it from it, like, the walkway, so it's like here, and it's like up here, it's mad, yeah. And when you go into it, and you feel so tiny, you're like, oh my gosh, and I know that's their goal, to make you feel tiny, and like, this is a huge space of religion, and it really does that, it's beautiful. So we have this one, like I said, I like to show time in my work, and I kind of liked this picture because it shows, you know, the deterioration of the walls. And but then you have like stickers from like today, which I kind of like. So it's this building that's been here for so long, but like there's our stickers on it. So I kind of like that connection there. I had another one of this, but I didn't put it up. It was like an art piece that somebody did of chalk on the wall. It was beautiful. But I couldn't find it. I might put it on my website if you guys are interested. But yeah. And then I had this one. This one was, I think it was in Rome. I want to say it's in Rome. And I actually had to edit somebody out because I was standing there and everybody's like, come on, Morgan. And I'm trying to get this picture, and there was one guy right there and he was not moving. And I was like, okay, I'll just take the picture. So I took the picture, and then he ended up moving, but it was too late. So I had to edit him out, which I don't know, it took a while, but you know, it was worth it. And yeah, I like the yellow, and I like the movement that it kind of gets. I almost kind of like the person in there because he was like this. So it depends. Some edits you can do, some edits you don't have to do. I just prefer no people in mine sometimes. And then this picture is like the definition, I think, of when I think of Italy. So I think of Italy and I think of this picture just because of the greenery and the gate, and it's just like real life in Italy. Because often people think like, oh, Italy this, oh, Italy that, it's small, which it is, parts of it, but a lot of it's just so busy and there's so much traffic that it gets crazy. So I like to think of this part of Italy rather than the buses and the cars and the scooters. And by the way, they're driving, not good. I thought we were gonna get into an accident so many times. It's so crazy. Okay. And then this one was in Venice. My favorite spot by far, Venice. I loved Venice. I like Switzerland, but I think Venice took the cake. So this was in Venice, and forgive me again because I don't know the name of it, but it's a prison. And
Bridge of Sighs, it's called the Bridge of Sighs.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I was yes.
Those windows are the last.
Yes, exactly what I was just saying. Good job. Yeah, so I actually had to wait because when they're like sentenced to death, they go across the bridge. And somebody was sticking their hand out there, and that's what they do. It's their last thing of light before they're put to death. And so I don't know if they do that anymore necessarily, but somebody's hand was sticking out of it, and I was like, so I had to wait to take the picture. But I just found that out. They didn't tell me that while I was there. So my photo teacher actually just told me that, which I thought was really cool. So some interesting conservation laws and fun facts. I had to look this up because I myself was baffled because I was like, I wonder how many people visit, because it is truly so busy. I will not stress that enough. I thought it was just gonna be a few people. It's so busy. So 1.4 million Italian tourists. So just sit on that. That's so crazy. And I have a link down there. They have some cool statistics about Italy, but just remember that when you're picking somewhere to travel, it is crazy and there's a lot of theft. I had my bag cut. Luckily I held on to it, so it didn't get taken or anything, but it did get like sliced. And I even got the bag that you order that's supposed to be unsliceable. Well, they found a way because they sliced it. Wow. So yeah, luckily I caught it in time. It was okay. But yeah, just a little fun fact to be careful about when you're traveling. So yeah, this is a little map. These are all the places we went. You can't really see because the Zoom screen, but we started in Rome. And then we went up into Switzerland. So we went to Switzerland, Amalfi Coast, Capri, Sorrento, Florence, Venice, Milan, Lake Como, and then Switzerland. And I really liked Lake Como too. So very pretty places. And I also included at the bottom that I went to Germany because we had a layover in Germany. I count that. Like I said, I've been to Germany technically. And so I just included a little quiz, but I mean, we can talk about it, it's not really, I'm not grading you or anything like that. So, I just thought these were interesting because a lot of people in my group complained about these, so I just thought it was cool to talk about. So we went to a truck stop and there was a bunch of trucks there, like, there was millions of trucks in this truck stop, and it was huge. And I was like, why are the truck stops so much bigger here than like in America? And I was asking our guide. And she said, well, our trucks cannot run on the weekends. It's a conservation law, but unless they have like livestock or something that's gonna like spoil, they have to go, obviously. But like Amazon and stuff, like they cannot go during the weekends. So they have to park at a truck stop and they have to stay, which I didn't know that, so I thought that was interesting. And the air conditioning. So when we first got there, the first night, we had so many people go down to the lobby. They're like, my air conditioning's broken, I'm not doing it. They were kind of being rude to the people there. And it actually wasn't broken, they just don't blast their air like we do here. And it takes a while to like work up to the temperature that you set it at. And so they thought it was broken and they were complaining. And I was like, oh my God, oh my goodness. So I thought that was cool to put up there too, just so you guys know if you ever travel to Italy. It doesn't work the same way. It's like a light breeze of air conditioning. It's not like you like, oh, 65. No, it's not like that. So yeah, and then on the bus, our bus driver was getting kind of upset because people were complaining about the air conditioning on the bus. And he said, he can't turn it on past like 12 o'clock noon. Because that's a law. And if he gets pulled over and it's on, he can get fined. So everybody was complaining on the bus because the air conditioning wasn't on in the bus. So there was a lot of complaining. But that's okay. We learned that, we gotta deal with this stuff. It's a different country. And you know that going into it, that it's not gonna be, the same. And that's part of the experience. So, and then we have bathroom requirements. They did not tell me this, just so I know. They did not tell me this. I got there and I was like, I really have to go to the bathroom. And they were like, okay, it's $5. I said, it's $5 every time I go? Okay. And they did not tell us that to account for my budget. So I had to take money out and be careful and not drink as much water, but we were also walking so much that I had to drink water. I wanted to drink water, but I also didn't want to pay for the bathroom. And I was like, I'll hold it. And they're like, that's not healthy. And I'm like, I'm not paying $5. I will not pay $5. So I was kind of stingy on my bathroom uses, but
Was that in every country you?
yeah, that was in Switzerland and Italy. Both, you had to pay for the restroom in both, unless you bought something. So if I went into a store and I was like, I'm just gonna buy a little Coke, like a glass bottle of Coke, they're like this big. It was like $10 for a Coke. Then you could use their bathroom for free. But you had to spend $10 instead of $5. But I mean, at least you're getting a drink out of it. So I was like, all right, that's fine. So I would often do that.
Do they not have public restrooms?
They do, but they found that there are so many people visiting the country that they had a sewage issue. And they didn't know where to put all the sewage. So that's why they're like, we're gonna start charging. And then people like, here, I'm not doing that. And then that's where that comes in. So that's how they regulated a little bit. Which is interesting, I thought, but also inconvenient, a little bit. And you can use the one at your hotel too. I wanna mention that. So like, we had bathrooms in our hotel. We would just go before we left. And then at breakfast, we'd go again. And then hopefully you didn't have to go again because then you were paying. And then I thought this was interesting too, drying clothes outside. So I saw clothes everywhere outside, like they were throwing them over their porch. I was like, what is going on? And she said that oftentimes their buildings are too small, that they can only fit a washer and not the dryer. So they would just dry their clothes outside, which,
Hey, combo unit.
yeah. I mean, it's probably cheaper that way. But then I just included the answers, but I just kind of went over them with you, so.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. No, I stayed on my slide too. Okay, and then fun fact, we averaged 20,000 steps a day. And there were a lot, so I was like the youngest one that went, and there were a lot of older folks that went. And this was not like told to anybody that it would be this vigorous. And there was a few people that had trouble walking to begin with. And so just know if you go with a travel group, they move. And it's late nights, early mornings, you gotta see everything, and then you're taking this many steps. And I ended up adding this up and it's somewhere on my phone. It's crazy. It's worth it, but crazy. So, yeah, it's vigorous for sure. And it's some fun facts that I thought were fun. So I already talked about some of them. So they charge you to sit and they charge you for water too. So it's water's not free when you sit down. So when you sit, they charge you, it's a fee. It looks like our tax. So if you see like, if you go to Italy and you see a random charge, you're like, I didn't order anything. Well, it's probably water where you sat down. So one of those two things, but hey, you can use the bathroom for free, I guess, if you're paying. They charge you for the bathrooms and that's how they regulate the sewage. I already kind of went over that. Their toilets are squarish shaped. I was so happy when I came home because I was like, my toilet, my oval toilet. So uncomfortable. I wanted them all so bad. And also a lot of the times when I would go to restaurants, I could not find how like to flush. I could not find the like flush. So oftentimes it's either on the wall, like right here, either step on it or it's something you have to grab. So you have to look and make sure that that's how you're flushing. And oftentimes it didn't really flush either that well. So just keep that in mind if you're like, it's not flushing because it's not that good. And then, so I thought this was interesting too. You need a passport to go from Italy to Switzerland, which you might think, different, stuff going on, but they actually didn't even ask for our passports when we went. So I thought that was cool. They just let us go. There was like a bunch of cops just like this, and they were just walking our bus. They didn't stop us. They didn't ask. They didn't care. And she said that might happen. Sometimes they will stop you if they're like suspicious if you're like taking something or, bringing something in, but they didn't stop us. And then I know we've talked about this. I don't know if everybody's here when we were talking about this. But they serve you wine before they give you water. So we were averaging like 20,000 steps a day and we would sit down finally at the end of the day and they were like, here's your wine. And I'm like, can I just have the water? I don't want wine right now. And they were like, really? They were astonished at the fact that I just wanted water. And everybody thought in our group that I was 15 years old. So on the last night when I was like, you know what, I didn't drink wine the whole time, but on the last night I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna try some. Can you pass me the wine? And they went, no. And I said, why? And he said, because you're 15. I said, I'm 23. So I don't know if I look 15, but I mean, I guess it's kind of a compliment, but yeah, I'm 23. And then they don't have pepperoni pizza there. They have margarita. They do, but they refer to it as like margarita pizza. And also they do these like balls of mozzarella. Oh my gosh, so good. And then I also got lasagna, my favorite. If you like pasta, get it from the store, it's so good. And I think that's about it for that. Oh yeah, I think it's about the same price. Like there wasn't a whole lot of upcharge on certain things other than the bathroom. But it was about the same price.
No cats.
What's the no cats?
Oh yeah, no cats. There were no cats. I was promised cats would be everywhere. And there was no cats. And so I guess back then there was a bunch of mice in Italy and they were like, we don't know how to do this. We don't know how to solve this issue. So they brought a bunch of cats in. They killed all the mice. Well, then the cats took over. And so I was like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of cats. I'm a cat person, love cats. So I was like, I saw 3 cats. And I was like, what happened to all the cats? And she's like, well, there's a rumor that they just killed them all and then just served them as meat. Oh, I said, so yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, so no cats. I saw like 3 the whole visit. So that was kind of disappointing, but I was promised cats, so.
It was probably the fastest cat.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest. Okay, different camera settings. So when I went to Italy, I was doing all of my changes in my camera manually. Changing my shutter speed, I was doing everything and it was taking forever because I don't have like an auto or like a little setting on my camera for that. So I was doing it all manually and I have been for, I don't know, 3 years. And I finally sat down with my professor and he was like, you do have one, it's just called something else. So I was kind of disappointed that I didn't know that before, but just a little side note for that. And then aperture and shutter, and then also I only used metering for black and white photography. I have that set on auto. I don't know if you guys are too interested in settings, but I have it set on auto. Some things on my digital camera are very nice. It takes it off my plate, so I don't have to worry about my light meter because I have it on auto. With my film camera, I have to go in and I have like a special light meter and stuff like that, so a little bit difference between like black and white photography, color photography, and digital. And then I don't know how much you guys know about photography again, but just the shutter, it's this part of the camera. I don't know if you guys know. I'm assuming you guys know, but this is just a shutter release. So it's just this little button right here. And again, you can take a look at my camera when you're done or when we're done. And then ISO, it's the film sensitivity to light. So just a little bit of information about that. And then camera setting options to think about. So like I said, there's manual mode, which was what I was doing, and I didn't have to do that. And I just found out that I didn't have to do that. There's camera, ISO, there's exposure, and there's focusing. So it was hard for me when I was in Italy and Switzerland to have all my friends and all the group of people walking, and I would have to always stay at the back and take my pictures because I was manually doing all this stuff. So I'm constantly learning myself. I do not know everything. I'm constantly learning. And I just learned when I came back that there was an easier way, and I was like, really? But yeah, thinking about all these things and thinking about kind of like what you want in your picture, in the foreground and middle ground, what you want blurred, what you don't want blurred, stuff like that. So just some things to think about. And then, like I just said before, I'm gonna reiterate again, that I was doing it manually. So each photograph, if you look online, there's literally a whole thing about like what time I took the picture, when I, where, and everything like that. And every single picture is different because I was manually doing it myself, which makes it more unique. It definitely slowed me down and made me look, but the people in my group did not like that. So I'm glad that I found a faster way. So there's auto mode, which is AV, aperture priority, and that's for like fast and everyday stuff. And then there's TV, which each camera is different. This is just my camera. I have a Canon, and TV stands for time value, which is better for action in like low light situations. And I just found this out, so I'm pretty upset. I wish I would have looked into my camera settings sooner, but I didn't really realize how much digital had advanced on my camera, because I was so used to my black and white and my color film and that process. So I'm still researching on like the digital aspect of stuff. And then this is the sheet that you guys will get at the end, and my contact information will be down here just in case you want to get a hold of me. Welcome. And so, yeah, this is just a little bit of a guide. Even I need a guide sometimes. Even I need a guide sometimes. So I just did a little guide for you guys in case you want to take it home. And if you use it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But I just included the aperture, shutter, and ISO graphs and the numbers you would need to do that. So that's just a little thing you'll get. We have 50 copies, so we have plenty if you want to take some for your friends. And then white balance. Again, this digital camera has taken that completely off my tray. Like I don't have to worry about it. It's on auto. For black and white, I did have to worry about that. But for digital, don't have to worry about it. It does it on auto. It's very nice. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, some of my stuff is on auto. And that's one of them. But I included this graph just in case you guys were interested. And I'll post this on my website too, if you want to refer to it later on. So just some interesting graphs. Okay, editing. I won't worry too much because this gets kind of crazy, and I myself am just starting. But Photoshop AI is a brand new thing that just came out, and I've been messing around with it, and it's amazing. It's definitely different than what I normally do because there's like a little thing on Photoshop called spot healing, and you can take people out with it, but you just have to be very strategic on how you do it and not mess up things in the background. And with this has taken hours of work down to like minutes, and you just like highlight things. Like there's like this little, like you can do a circle and you just circle it, and then you put in this little box, removed. It'll fill in the background. It'll do it all for you. It's amazing. I love it. It's still evolving, so I'm still learning about it myself. My professor hates it, so it just depends, but he's more on the film side of things. and he likes black and white stuff, of course, so this is a little advanced. There's mixed feelings about it because it's viewed as easy, so, I mean, just a little bit about that. And so this is a little bit of what it does, so this is a picture that you've seen before earlier, and then I did the edit on the next one, yep. So you can see I took out all those boats.
Oh.
Yeah, just with the AI, I circled it, I pushed remove, it removed it, yeah.
Can you add things the
Yes.
same way?
Yes.
Which comes,
Yeah.
exactly. AI,
Yeah,
how do we trust anything?
exactly,
we see?
yeah,
I mean,
it's too much at this point, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, because
great
I-
for a photographer.
yeah. But I mean, if you wanna lie about stuff, you can certainly do so with this, like, I use it for, like, if there's a bee instead of a butterfly, and I wanted a butterfly, then I'll replace it. But people are like manipulating things to be
Sure.
something they're not at this point,
Sure.
yeah. So for me, this is amazing, for other things, there's always a negative side, because people are always gonna turn it and, do what they do. Yeah, there's always that one person that ruins it for everybody, but I'm just experimenting with it, and you've seen this picture before as well, and then. Yeah, that one, yeah, and again, like, you could be a tourist and take these pictures and it just be fine, but. For a fine arts standpoint, I just don't like people in my work, I think it's distracting, so I just completely removed those. Yep, and then this one, and that. And that's actually the blue grotto. This is the one we couldn't go in. So we went in the green one. This is the blue one. It's a very dark image just because it's in a cave. But yeah, the boat on the other side and the boat next to it. I just simply circle, remove. It's so nice. Yeah, but again, we already just talked about this since you mentioned it. Yeah, there's always that one person that ruins it. It's always updating. There's certain words that are blocked, like I think dinosaur is blocked. I'm not sure. I gave it to my boyfriend and he was putting dinosaurs and he was like, it won't let me. They blocked the word dinosaur. There's just certain words that you can't put in there and it won't do it. But yeah, it's always updating. I don't know, some people think it takes away from the hands-on process, and I agree, it does, because I've done the black and white, I've done the color, I've done the processing, I've done the printing, and it does take away from it a little bit, I will agree to that. So then my Photoshop editing, AI is AI Photoshop, but it's its own thing, so they're two different apps, two different things, but they're trying to get them to be one. So for Photoshop, I don't do much, like, there's some people that go above and beyond. But I just do brightness, exposure, contrast, saturation, selective color, vibrance, photo filter, which you have to be careful with certain filters because it does the whole thing. But I like selective color. That's new to me. I don't know if that's new to Photoshop, but it gives you control over each color and you can adjust it with this kind of knife. But again, have to be careful. You don't want to push your image, it's completely saturated and it's all blue. So you have to know when to stop, and of course, the spot healing tool and the AI I use, and this is nice because on Photoshop, if you make an edit and you're like, I don't know if that hurt my photo or made it better, there's like this little eye and you can turn it on and off and it'll show you what the image looked like before and then with your edits.
Wow.
Yeah, so it shows you with and without, which I think is really nice because I'm like, that was way too much, and I turn it way down. Or I'm like, that wasn't enough, and then I turn it up. So it allows me to kind of see where I need my image to be when editing. I think that was it for that, yeah. And then I just included this too. Again, I'll put this on my website. It's just different temperature lighting. If you're doing stuff like inside, I didn't really focus on this in Italy, in Switzerland, because I couldn't control the sun. That would be cool, but I can't do that. So I just kind of put a graph in there, to show you the different types of light and the temperature color of light, because that varies in photography as well. I'm not keeping up with my phone. And then I promise, I'm almost done with the editing stuff. I know it's boring. The pixels, that's also, you have to take into account that too in Photoshop. Because if you don't save it as a high resolution at like 300, you're gonna have a super grainy image. So anything like 300 and above is usually what we want. And then of course you have to size your image and then printing the whole different ball game. But yeah, just to get that clear image, it's a lot. A lot of people think like digital is easier, and it is in a way easier, but it's also harder in its own way. It's a whole different process, whole different ball game, just different things to learn, but I like both. So And then what to look for, like angles and stuff. Again, I just put this graph on here. I actually just learned about this myself. There's different chips that go in cameras that allow you to have different depths of field abilities, which I didn't know. I, of course, found out I had the lower end of the chip. So I don't have the highest, chip, but I just thought that was interesting too, about, where your camera needs to be for the depth of field and stuff like that. So that'll be on my website as well, if you wanna refer back to that. And then, of course, we have like the rule of thirds. And I actually can get the rule of thirds on my camera. Most people can. My film camera had it built in and I couldn't turn it off. So you have that and also. Okay. So the rule of thirds is just a way of placing like a person or something to make your image look more like aesthetically pleasing. So if you have the rule of thirds here, and if you put the person in the middle, it's kind of like, oh, they're just there. But if you place them off to the side, you can see more of the environment and stuff like that. So it's just something to think about when you're like placing an image or you're taking a picture, to make it more visually interesting. And then you have this one, which you can actually put on, I just found this out too. You can put this on your Photoshop and move your image to make it fit this little spiral thing, which does the same thing. It just makes it more visually interesting. So your eye goes like this, or your eye goes like that. So just something to think about when you're editing and stuff like that. And this is the quiz you're not graded on, I promise. You're not gonna be graded on this. So yeah, I kind of already covered some of this because I talk a lot. The most expensive Coke was $10. True or false? It was true. It was $10. I couldn't believe I was so upset. I'm broke. That's why I was upset. We averaged 20,000 steps a day. True. This one I didn't cover, so now you have to guess on this one. I got pulled out of security by German police and my luggage was lost. True or false? True. He did that to me. We had just landed in Germany and they called like my last name Stevens. They called Mr. and Mrs. Stevens. I didn't have a Mr. Stevens, so I was like, okay, I'll just go up and make sure that it's not me. And I was like, hey sir, like, I'm not sure if you called me, here's my ticket. He grabbed the ticket out of my hand, grabbed the passport out of my hand, and Homeland Security came out and said, you need to come with me now. And I'm the person that I don't like getting in trouble, I don't like authority, I get scared, I cry. And so I'm like, okay, and like, they took my phone, they made me take my shoes off, and they're rubbing this piece of paper all over my body. And I'm just standing there, like, they're not telling me what's happening, I'm just standing there. And he's like, puts it in the computer and the computer turns green. And he's like, okay, you're good. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude, but sir, can I just ask what you just did? He said, yeah, I just drug tested you. So I just did what they said and I guess I was fine. But they also lost my luggage when we were going to Rome and I did get it 3 days later. So it was kind of scary because I was like, am I gonna get back? But it all worked out. I'm here. I had like all the problems that you can have on a flight, it was delayed, but it was fun. It was an experience. It was also my first time on a plane when I went to Italy. So it was 8 hours and then on the way back, it was 10 hours. So yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Did they ever tell you why they targeted you?
They said, because I did ask him and he said, your name was in a computer and we picked it.
Wow.
So I'm assuming it was random. I'm assuming it was random, and my ticket did have SSS on the bottom of it. So if you ever see like a number like SSS or like a letter or anything like that, you might get pulled for something. I'm assuming. I'm not quite sure, but that's just what I think. So just be aware that can happen. It happened to me. It was interesting. I cried. I'm a crier, so I cried. And our bus driver that was from Rome got his bag stolen. True or false? True. He stepped out. He knows that there's thieves. He left it on a seat, stepped out of the bus. Somebody went on the bus, grabbed it and walked away with it. And he's from there. He was born and raised in Rome.
Oh,
And he got it stolen. I felt so bad. And he was like, no, it's okay. And I was like, okay. So we all kind of just like were extra nice to him. And then people started complaining about the air conditioning and it was kind of, I felt bad for him because he didn't deserve that, but anyway. Number 8, useful resources. So I just included some links, and again, this will be on my website, and my website is on the form that I'm gonna pass out to you guys. There are just some helpful links, like Tacone's Camera in Perrysburg, they do like printing, and they can take like chest tapes and turn them into CDs, which I kind of need to do. I have some for my chocolate that I'm gonna do, but Cones, great resource. Any photo questions, they're amazing. They're a little expensive, I'm gonna be honest, but good quality. And then I put the Canon website because everything about like camera settings and stuff on there. It's amazing. I love Canon. I would not choose another brand of camera. That's just my personal opinion. I put Blick because they have great art supplies if you guys ever need that. And B&H has great photo paper. If you need like any type of photo paper, they're amazing. And then usually on the cheaper end of things, I noticed a lot of people use Amazon and sometimes Amazon's more expensive. So if you ever need like photo paper like that, and then B&H also created their own tip sheet with their own tips on it. So similar to the one I'm giving you, but theirs is a little bit more in depth if you want to go more in depth with it. And thank you guys. Does anybody have any questions?